Chandraswami of India. He helped many people with his astrological advice throughout the years, and I recently heard of him through one of his, I guess, former disciple. You can see him here. His name is Raman, although we're not sure. Okay. Anyways, he's the main character. He is a really controversial figure because he used his tantric powers to gain certain goals that were considered like not kosher, back in the day. And India has changed a lot in the 20th century, but you can just keep in mind that like caste is like a very strong institution with many people who support it. And he is from a merchant background, okay? But he's doing tantric stuff that would upset everyone, right? Like if he supports one party, the other party has like half of the like population following, and then so there's like war ongoing in terms of political power, right? So I got his Kundalini details. You can also find it on the internet. Although his mother actually disputes the birth time, she says that he has a Moon Jupiter conjunction. And the birth details that most people are using, including Dr. Anjana on her Hindi YouTube channel, is that the Jupiter and Moon are one house apart. So Jupiter and Moon are actually not conjunct. So it's interesting when you become successful, like even your family members want a stake in your, truth. And it's like, okay, here we go. So yeah, like Chandraswami, I can see like he loves India. It's just that in order to prove your love sometimes, you actually have to go out there and like become super, super successful, right? Like, so he helped the Khashoggi family, who one of them was later actually assassinated by, the king of a certain country. So you can see he had a strategy in mind when he was helping these people. He wasn't helping anyone who asked him, right? Like if he did that, the world would be much more chaotic than it already is. Anyways, so yeah, I got a comment. This is also an inspiration for me. The comment was like, I thought you did Tibetan Buddhism. Why are you interested in astrology? Well, because people like Chandraswami exist, right? Like think about it. The Bengal Buddhist tantric Atisha, he left Bengal in year like 1,000. And then the Muslims came after he left Bengal to spread Buddhism in Tibet. If he didn't go at that time, there like Buddhism might have not spread that much. And then everything that like the tantric practices for Buddhism might have been all destroyed in Bangladesh, which didn't exist. But you get my point. It's like because of these people who were courageous enough to like show their power to the world outside of like limited circles, like they stopped gatekeeping, then other people know they can compare notes, right? They can say, oh, because Bengal had these tantrics who didn't trust caste or the fact that only Brahmins were allowed to practice tantra, did we actually get Atisha? If we didn't get Atisha, Tibet wouldn't have been all like, fervently devout Buddhists. And then Islam invaders from Central Asia might have destroyed everything that was existing in the subcontinent, because the subcontinent is altitude wise lower than the rest. And then so that is also one point Dr. Anjana made about his sun. It is conjunct Mercury, like my friend, but it is in a lower position vis-a-vis like the entire chart. He has Cancer ascendant, and his sun is debilitated in Libra. So then it could make him like very conflicted in his relationship to patriarchy. And another thing is that the moon is afflicted by Rahu for tantric siddhi. Not everyone who practices tantra can gain siddhi, like the ability to change the course of events, like the way he helped Margaret Thatcher or the way he helped Bahrain leaders. His Mars conjunct a weak Saturn brought him courage to practice the Tantra, to spread the word of the Tantra, even though he was not a Brahmin. Like, think about it. He was born in India. He didn't have any, like, abroad connections, and he was not a Brahmin. And he's doing this out in the open. You know, like, he could have been easily done with, but he died of, like, natural causes. So he sat at gravesites to practice Tantra, which is, you know, benefited by his Mars. The sun was afflicted for the activities to go against dharma. So that was the, like, conclusion from when he passed away in 2017. Although now, when we are, you know, approaching the iron dog year according to Tibetan Buddhism, like, there's like a upcoming world war. Let's hope not. Om Ahom Vajra Guru Padma Siddhi Hom. So people thought that he was misusing his power to gain, like, you know, he liked to have relations with beautiful women, and he also helped, like, one Miss Universe or Miss India get, like, promotions in the US through his Tantra. And it is rumored that they also were engaged in, you know, non-marital affairs. So you can see that from his Scorpio in Venus, like, secretive relationships, and the energy motivated him to become a successful tantric. And nowadays, the society in India, like, this sort of people are increasing, which is why that person actually felt comfortable enough to share with me that he knew Chandraswami, right? Like, if you think about it, a few years back, I don't think he would have shared it with me. He would have been more like, oh, this is like a no-no guy, like a, you know, shunned person from mainstream establishment. But nowadays, like, people see, oh, everyone's doing it. So then they feel like they need to flex. You know, they're using him to flex on people like me. And I'm like, I don't really care, but okay. Like, I get why people would care, especially if you want, like, a lot of things in your life. And the guru is a great way to achieve it. He has Jupiter in Capricorn sign. And that is, like, showing how hardworking he is and how he is devoted to people who are working. You know, he's not just helping, you know, any person who's like, oh, maybe something will change my life. He is helping those people who are determined to succeed. You know, in a way, he's very, like, American, I dare say, even though he was born in India. So that's also why I wanted to share it from my perspective. It's like, yeah, we are born into families, and our family contributed a lot to our upbringing, but then that's only like 1/5 of our lifespan, right? We have, like, the rest of the 3/5 to establish ourselves as an egoic person in an egoistic society like America. So then how are we going to do that? Well, people like Chandraswami is like, here's a shortcut for you. So if you want that shortcut, it's there. The shortcuts are always there. It's just whether or not you want to risk it, right? So he took extraordinary risks, like, personally, in terms of his family. Like, if he failed, the whole family would have suffered, right? Because people would say, oh gosh, like, I can't believe he's, like, transgressing the customs of our 1,000-year-old generations accumulated. And, like, you know, Atisha, he went to Tibet. How dare he go to Tibet, you know? So it's like, I'm really grateful, you know, that he didn't just, you know, keep all of this a secret. And he was actually practicing in Hyderabad at some point. And I also found, like, an old picture of me in Hyderabad. So then there was, like, that serendipitous connection. And if you think about it, like, the diversity of India is what ensures different practices can continue as sampradayas and then not be maligned just because one person failed, right? Like, even if he failed, tantrics would still be practicing in different parts. It's not like, oh, it's a win all, lose all situation. Like, if I put, like, 10,000 here, then all of India's, you know, spiritual power is lost if he suddenly decided to, you know, start having relations with 5 different women. Like nowadays people have that tendency to just like go after someone and say, oh yeah, he had relations with 5 women. And it's like, okay, but then on the other hand, don't you like tantra? Don't you like the knowledge he gained from that? He gained knowledge and he's spreading that knowledge to maybe 20 different women, and then 20 women benefit from the fact that he had relations with 5 women. So yeah, like it just depends on your own morality system and your own ideas of like what should be kept secret and what should be in public. And at least for like Tibetan Buddhism, like unfortunately the sovereignty of Tibet is lost. So even if you want to practice secretly now, the Chinese government, the Communist Party is always watching. So then it's like very difficult because the Chinese government doesn't really employ people who are from noble families. You know, they employ any dipshit from the street. You know, like if you look up a couple of years ago during COVID in Xi'an, some girl was dragged off the subway and then she had like a whole like 走光, like her whole like underwear was showing to like the public, and that's just the kind of experience normal people face. Like you don't have to be Tibetan, you don't have to be like an outspoken dissident. Like if you just not want to get off the subway because of your own volition, like some guard is gonna like strip you naked. So anyways, long live democracy, long live India, and I love to discuss these things with you guys. See you guys in the next video of astrology. Chandraswami ki Janam Kundali. Om Namah Shivaya. Har Har Mahadev.